Hi, I'm Trent Gustus with Keller Realty. After being in the real estate business for 13 years, I've watched the market go up and down. Today we're going to look at the overall real estate market.
Okay, so things are really looking up here in the start of 2014. You can see that February here, our total sales for the month were 2,439 sales as opposed to last year's 2,158. So we sold almost 300 more homes than we did last year at the same time period. But here's the real devastating factor. We actually last year had 7,100 listings by February. We're actually down to 6,100 listings. We have 1,000 less homes to buy than we had last year, which means it's an excellent time for sellers to be on the market. And I know that for buyers, I mean, we've got low interest rates right now, and people are taking advantage of that. So sales to new listing ratio was actually 63.98. Not that high because we had an increase of a lot of new listings coming on the market. We had a real low in January of 5,600 listings. And our average sale price is $472. Now that doesn't mean a lot, only because it means that people are buying more expensive homes, not to say that prices have gone up. We're going to get into that in a little bit. To make our stats a little bit more accurate, we're going to divide the city into different quadrants. We're going to look at the northeast section first, the northwest section, the southwest section. What we're talking about is Springbank, Discovery, Aspen, those areas. The deep south, the southwest and the southeast, and inner city. Okay, so we're going to start with the northeast. So in February we had 208 sold listings and an average list price of $346,000, and our average sale price per square foot was actually $297.26 a square foot, and for the median, that's where most of the home sales were, was $292. Now the January sales, we had 165 from last month, so we actually got quite a few more sales in February, so things are heating up. And if you'll notice that our average sale price is actually up a little bit, so the prices are getting better. Our average sale price went up to $335 from $328 last month, and so did our average price per square foot, went up slightly as well. That means the prices are steadily moving up, and also the days on market for February were lower than January at 30 days, so things definitely heating up. Now if we want to compare that to last year, in February we sold 178 listings. Now our average sale price was $299,000 as opposed to $341, and our average sale price per square foot was $260. So prices definitely up in the Northeast this year. Now from a supply point of view, we now have 232 listings actively on the market, and you can see that those listings are actually an average price of those at $305 a square foot, when the sale price was the average was $297 a foot. So I guess we can see here that the sellers are asking a little bit more than where they're selling at. The average list price per square foot was $301. Of the homes that sold, they were actually $301. So that you can see that remaining properties that are on the market are priced a little bit high, and the average list price is $346, and the average, that was where the sales were on the asking price, and the average what's left on the market is $395, which tells us that it's the more expensive homes that aren't selling quite as quick, and they're advertised at a bit more money per square foot. Okay, so now we're going to move to the northwest section of the city. So in the northwest we had a high sale of $1.54 million and an average sale price of $510,509. And as compared to last month, it was $493,750. So the pricing has changed a little bit here, and definitely we've definitely moved up in our average sale price. But not only that, is the price per square foot is a little bit more than $10 a square foot more. And now that really is meaningful, because it tells us that the price per square foot is higher than it was last month. That means our homes are selling for more money. The average sale price doesn't really mean that, because it doesn't necessarily always mean. It might mean that homes are just selling for more money, and certainly a large sale in a month can increase the average sale price, but oftentimes it's the square footage price that changes and means a lot more, because often larger homes will sell for less per square foot, so the averages will come down a little bit. Now, if you look at last year, we had 351 sales in the same time period, and it's quite interesting that our sales price is up almost 60,000 on the average. And if you look at the sales price per square foot, that's also quite a bit lower, $30, almost $30 a foot lower. And if you look at our days on market, last year we were at 34 days on market to sell the house, and this year we're at, on this month we're at 28 days, and last month we were at 39 days. So definitely things were really popping in the Northwest, as you can tell. Now, if we look at this from a supply point of view, you're going to find that currently we've got 429 active listings on the market, and if we sold 268 last month, that means that we have over a month's supply of properties available. Now let's look at what's left on the market. Currently, if the sales prices or even the ask prices are $302 a foot and the average is $334, what that tells us is that it's the higher priced homes that are still on the market for the most part, and the average list price of those homes are $626. So, and they're also bigger, so it means that there's more buyers at a little bit lower price. Now, our median price, what that means is where most people are buying. Most people have their homes listed at $554, at $301 a foot, and the most part of the buyers were actually below that, $469, and they were buying homes that were listed at $286 a square foot. So that tells you that some of the homes that are a little bit bigger, priced a little bit more per square foot, are not moving as quickly, and they're the ones that are remaining out of last month, a lot of them. So now we're going to move on to the southwest section of the market, not the deep southwest, but everything is down as far as Discovery and everything west of Sarcee, which means that it's not considered the inner city. Now, when we look at that area west of Sarcee, we see that the average sale was right around the $737 price point, quite a bit higher than the Northwest. And when we look at the median price, we're looking at $678, and we're looking at a $342 per square foot price. And when we look at that compared to last month, we're actually up there a little bit, about $2, not very much. And the actual amount of sales was only 44 last month, and it's doubled in February of this year. So, looking from one month to the next is quite a change. And of course, property selling much quicker as well. And when we look at last year, when we want to compare February from last year to this February, we had 75 sales in the same time period, opposed to 83. So we're up higher than last year. And look at our average sale prices here. Last year, average sale price for the month was $865, and our average price was actually per square foot was $339 as opposed to $342 last year. And that tells us that really the market there per square foot isn't really up. It's pretty much the same as it was. The houses are selling a little bit faster. They're selling in 25 days as opposed to 34, but obviously not much change. Now, the median price was where the change really was. That's where most people were buying. So the average sale price was $650. This year it was $678, and again, that sales price per square foot was up considerably. I got $20 a foot over last year. Now, when we look at our supply numbers, we see that we got, opposed to our last month's 83 sold listings, we got 168 active listings available. So that's almost 2 months supply there. And when we look at what's available and what's left, our average list price is $1.3 million, and it's the average sale price or list price for the properties that sold was $750. So that's a long ways off. And our average price per square foot is $876. It's a long ways off where people are actually buying at $342 and actually listing at $346. So it tells you what's left on the market. These homes are a lot bigger, and that's the average. Now, when we look at the median price that's available, it's $426 a square foot, and that's getting a little bit closer, but that median is 1.34. That means that there's a lot of homes that are available in the market in the higher price group that are not going to sell as quickly as those ones that are 2,100 square feet. That's the moving part of the market. Now we're going to talk about the Deep South. We're going to include areas like Silverado, Cranston, Auburn Bay, all of these areas, Copperfield, and these all areas seem to have a little bit of parity as far as how they compete with each other. And we're going to do an overall average on this area. Okay, so moving on to the Deep South, you can see that we sold 388 listings, in February, and in January we sold 276. So definitely up between the 2 months. And we've got a situation here where we've got a $292 price per square foot as a sale price this February of 2014, as opposed to 284. So people are definitely getting a little bit better prices this month than they were the previous month. And when we look at the average sale prices, we're looking at 452 as opposed to 493. Although that necessarily doesn't really mean much, because we had a high sale, 1.47 million, which would actually raise the average here. So that really didn't that doesn't have any effect on really whether people got more money for their houses, but this really does. Your average price per square foot was actually higher. And so when you look at the median prices, you can see that they're up as well, just $6, $7 a foot, around that number. And of course the sales are happening a little faster in February than they were in January this year. But we look at last year and how that compared. We actually last year sold 337 listings in the same time period, and those were an average sale price of $449. So definitely up this year at $493. And we've also got an average price per square foot last year of $272. So price is definitely up. Now this the amount of time it took them to sell was like 37 days last year, and this year 28. So market's definitely up. Now let's look again at the median price, because it's always interesting to me to look at where most people are buying, and that's at the sale price at 408 in that Deep South area, and at an average price per square foot was 248 compared to this year at 276. So tells you that the market definitely up in the South for sellers. Now when we look at this from a supply point of view, and we look at the supply of homes we currently have available, you'll see that there's our average list price was $647 down there right now, and we've got 425 listings. So we don't have very many homes to buy down south, because we don't even have a month's supply of what's been happening down there. And when you look at the average sale price is $318 a foot, and that's a little bit higher than where they're selling at $292, but not as far off as the list price. Like when we look at the list price, they're selling very, very close to list at $493 an average sale price. So they're asking $5 and they're selling from $493. So they're selling fast and they're selling very close to asking. So if you're a buyer right now, you have to think that there's not a lot of room to negotiate down here. Or at least there hasn't been. Of course, these ones are priced at $318 a foot is where the average is, and $284 is where the median was. And that's getting a little bit closer to, I guess, our average ask price was $461. Our median available properties are $569. So it tells us that the inventory that's available is not as low a price. Now this market average is really going to skew, because we've got a listing here that's listed for 4.9 million, and of course that's going to bring our average price up in that zone up. So it's more important to look at it from the point of view of a price per square foot, and this number isn't very far off. The next report will be the inner city market. Okay, so now let's look at that inner city market, and we can see that there's 238 listings sold in February of 2014, and last month was 200. So that's not that far off, actually. That's pretty surprising that January was in the inner city was actually so strong. Now when we look at that price per square foot, Last month we were 470, like in January, $476 a foot, an average price of $735, and you can see that in February it was up, and up about almost $20, $20 a square foot as well, and they also sold quicker. So they sold quicker and for more money from January to February. Now let's look and see what happened from last year, and let's make that comparison. So last year, homes on the average were selling for $725, and this year they're selling for $816. And of course, last year their average price per square foot was $458. This year, $494. Now it looks like our high sale price, which could bring the average up, was 3.9 in this month, and the average last year, though the high sale was 3.6. So that would have brought the average up on the average sale price, but probably it might have even brought in the sales price per square foot up. But overall, even the median price is up, which tells us that at $435 a square foot up to $462, this is where most of the sales were. At last year it was $611, and this year $693. Also, the sales, the time it took to sell, very close to the same. Just another, looks like another 5 days extra from last year to this year. So things are selling in about a month in the inner city market. Now, when we look at what's happening with the inventory, we actually have a little bit over 2 months supply in inner city, and we've got most of that supply is sitting at an average list price of 1.1 million, when the actual sales list price was 832, which means that what's currently left on the market is priced a bit higher. Now the median price is even 849. Of course, the size of these homes are bigger for the inner city, and so we've got, of course, the higher end part of the market not selling out as fast, and it's really the larger part of what's remaining on the market. So we've got a median price of 462, but a list price of 489, and I guess we're not quite as far off here, but this is where the sales were. It was 468, and this is the remaining list price per square foot was. And of course, I think this one here at 5.9 million could raise this average up a little bit, but it wouldn't raise the median up so much. The median is where most of the homes are, so it wouldn't raise that up too much. So it tells me that what's left on the market is a little bit overpriced compared to what was on the market last month.
Realize that the market news I've just given you is based on the whole market. There's a whole other study we can do on the area that you're looking to buy or sell in. Your area may not move according to the whole market, and realize that average sale prices don't mean that a specific home would go up that percentage based on the whole market. Average sale prices sometimes mean that people are buying more expensive homes. Back when I started selling real estate, over 90% of the homes I sold were expired listings or homes that other agents couldn't sell. During that time, I learned from my clients the many frustrations that they had selling their homes.
Yeah, we had the home about, twice with some other agencies, and they couldn't sell the house. We don't know why. It's a beautiful house.
There was not any interest shown at all in our home by anybody that came and viewed it.
Too many of the other MLS realtors who'd come and show the house, they wouldn't have a clue.
We didn't get any feedback on our showing.
Last time our house was in the market about 3 months, and we've never got any offers.
It's for these reasons I have a very detailed approach on the way I sell my clients' homes. But here's what my clients had to say.
We had our house on the market last year for about 6 months, right, Bruce?
Correct.
And it's a high-end house. It's across the street from the park. It was listed at $1,299,000, and we just really didn't get any offers or any traction on the house, and we couldn't figure out why. Our realtor was really good, really nice guy, but we were asking him for more of a marketing plan for the house, and it just didn't seem to come. So in August, we took the house off the market, and we decided to relist the house in January, yeah. And at that point in time, I remember seeing a brochure that Trent had done up, and it just came in the mail. And that brochure from his company explained how he used video from a marketing perspective and all these other marketing techniques to actually move your house on the market. And we were really impressed with it. So we gave him a call, and Trent came in, and After we had a short conversation with him, we interviewed 3 other realtors, by the way, and none of them had the marketing strategy that Trent has. So Bruce and I decided, okay, let's take a chance with Trent for 90 days, see what happens. We listed it for the same amount of money, $1,299,000, and luckily within 36 hours, amazing actually, our house sold at $1,250,000, and we were really happy. When we were interviewing the buyers, they actually shared with us that they saw our house on the market last year, and they looked at the photographs that were on the MLS, but it didn't really tweak their interest, so they just passed it by. They didn't come up to see the house, and they don't live far away. They're only a few blocks away, but nevertheless, they turned it down. And then when they saw Trent's video, they were really excited, and they said, we got to have a look at this house. And they came up, and they were the ones who made the offer and bought the house. So we're really happy for both Claudia and her husband, and for us to have moved this house so quickly. So thank you, Trent. Job well done, very professional.
We had our home listed for 4 months in the fall, and it just didn't sell. We had a little interest at first, but then it just died down. After the new year, we got some information in the mail from Trent, and he was able to show us the advantages of video marketing, and he showed off our home to its best advantage. You know, it's not a show home, it's not a new home, but it's a comfortable home. And he was able to show that and get that information out to lots of people. And we had so many showings. We had, 1 or 2 showings a day. Some days we had so many showings we weren't even able to come home for meals. There was that much interest in our home. Another thing Trent was able to show us was that the market was actually good in November when we had our home listed before, and that was when there was no interest shown in ours. And there were homes selling in this neighborhood for actually less than what we got for ours just this past week. We sold it in about 4 weeks with Trent, and we're really excited to be, we got a price that we're happy with, and moving on.
This is just 2 examples, but in 13 years of marketing homes, I've got hundreds of examples of turnaround situations. High and low-end homes, fixer-uppers, show homes. I've marketed a home just like yours. So call me today for a low-pressure interview to discuss the sale of your home.